Hey YouTube, it's Mal with Olympus Reptiles, and you don't know this guy, but this is Caleb. Caleb is, I guess we'd call you the manager of Manhattan Reptile World. That'd be the best way to put it.
Yeah, pretty much.
But being the manager of Manhattan Reptile World means you still have 4 owners who are always telling you what to do.
Also true.
But it's not a bad gig, right?
No, that's pretty nice.
So he's been working for us for, I don't know how long now.
Be a year and 2 months.
Okay, and you've been managing the place for probably the last 45 days?
Yeah, roughly.
So he's the main dude there now. So if you come to Manhattan Reptile World, which is our little shop in Manhattan, Kansas, and there is an ownership group. It is separate. I want to be clear. It is separate from Olympus Reptiles, but Olympus Reptiles, both the owners of Olympus Reptiles own 25% of that, along with a guy named Joe and a guy named Colin own the other 25% each to make up 100%. So you can almost say Olympus Reptiles has about 50% of it, since Kurt and I have 25% each. So we are involved in that shop, and that is where our reptile zoo is, where you've seen several films from, including things like anacondas, some of the other rattlesnakes, the green tree python we keep there, we don't keep on site, things like that. And Caleb is in charge of the day-to-day care for all those animals, selling people stuff, equipment, tortoises, everything else, correct?
Yeah.
All right, but recently, I mean, it's 2020, so keep that in mind with all the stuff you're about to hear. You've kind of had a traumatic thing happen in your personal snake collection, right? You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think it was my first week actually taking over management. It was a Friday. I was putting away the new animal order that just came in, and I got a call from my girlfriend who had just gotten home from school and got inside, and
I
she
want to make
said,
one thing clear. Home from college.
Yeah.
College class.
Yeah,
College.
College. And she said the house was full of smoke and it smelled like fire. So I actually ran back to the rat room where Kurt was and said, "Wash the store, I gotta go." I got to the house and I could tell you, but I didn't even get into the doorway and I could already smell burnt animal and melted plastic smell. I got in the house and one of my racks was just black. You just couldn't see anything. My girlfriend was smart enough to go in and just turn off all the electricity, just cut it. So that probably saved quite a bit. I did end up losing about 8 snakes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't quite as bad as if you remember Alex a year ago, whose entire house burned down. Sorry about that, Alex. That really sucked. And we still have some of Alex's collection here, and you got to see some of Alex's babies because we've been helping those here. But, you know, I know you told me about one snake you lost in particular you're really sad about.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything crazy, right?
No, so it was a pastel that kind of kicked it off for me. It wasn't my first ball python. It was actually my second one. But when I picked up this pastel, it was going to be part of my projects that I had lined up in my head. And I was going through a couple pastels, but there's just this one that stuck out to me. It was just super vibrant colors. It was just, at the age it should have been, I expected it to just be kind of browned out, kind of that typical pastel adult color. But man, he was really coloring up, and I picked him up off the table for like 5 minutes, and he was already trying to breed my hand, and I was like, this is the one to kick off the project.
This is a dude. There's no way to replace that, obviously, but we wanted to do something because you make my life, and then by proxy Kurt's life, a lot easier, because you're one of the few people that I know I can trust to care for rattlesnakes besides me. And you do probably now, I'd say 90% of the rattlesnake work there in the shop, and that really alleviates a lot of time for me to care for mine here as this place has grown. So we wanted we've got something for you. So let me go grab what we have for you. And how many? You said you lost 8 snakes in total, correct?
Yes.
And well, this won't completely replace everything that's missing. The hope is that if you take this bumblebee who is now producing sperm plugs and ready to breed, I mean, I wouldn't breed him too hard yet. He is a beast of an eater. He'll eat anything. I think he's only missed 1 meal on me in the last 6 months, and that was only because he killed it, stuck in his water dish, and decided, I don't want soggy food. I understand. I like my cereal a little crunchy too, and when it gets too much milk, I don't eat it either. But he is a really good male. He is producing sperm plugs, and we want you to have this. You know, I couldn't imagine losing a big chunk of my collection in a fire, and I now know 2 people that this happened to in the hobby personally. We all hear stories of it, but I now have 2 friends that have suffered that same thing. And so I want to reiterate to you guys at home, man, check your stuff every now and then, because it terrifies me when I'm not here. Now, the rack you said that started was one that you thought was one of the homemade ones from somebody else, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, have we ever figured out a cause? I know it's so melted you really couldn't even look at a lot of it.
Yeah, so a lot of the racks, I couldn't even get the rack out to kind of clean up what I had to see what was still alive and whatnot. I pretty much just took a knife and just cut the tubs out to get things out. But what I could tell was probably the way the tubs sit, they kind of rub on the carpet or on the heat mat. So I'm assuming rubbed a wire wrong and
got a short.
And
then you get a spark, and
then everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were running a thermostat too, right?
Yep.
So there was a thermostat to
ones
control
we have
temps
in the shop.
Yep. So it wasn't that it was plugged in the wall, it's just one of those unfortunate things. So if you do have racks at home, or make racks, just keep an eye on that stuff because it can happen really quick. That is a selling point. This isn't supposed to be an advertisement video, but I do want to point out something. On all the racks we've used, from the TGR to the Pride of Texas ones that are making now, if you look, I'll move you over here, buddy. Pull this one out. Ugh. That's what you're going to grow into. If you look back here, the heat tape is actually floating over above. So this doesn't actually drag on it. It sets on top of that and it goes over the tape. So that is another selling point for this style of hanging tub rack. And it's about all I like to use anymore, just because there's not a lot of things in the world I'm afraid of. Okay? I don't mind going fast. I don't mind venomous snakes. I've done a bunch of dangerous shit in my other line of work. But there are a few things that I am terrified of. Fire is one, and roofs.
Yeah. I
am afraid of roofs. You're up high, there's no rail, and it's slanted like this. It's plotting against you. So those are the things that make me really, really uncomfortable. So, my heart goes out to you for your loss, and we want you to have this guy here if you want him.
I do. Thank you.
You're more than welcome.
Yeah. Because Jungle Woma is one of the genes I want to work with a lot, and I want to introduce that into the bumblebees and calicos and kind of get that pattern reduced as little as possible.
And the Jungle Woma is different than Woma, correct?
Right. So Jungle Woma is a poorly named morph.
Yeah.
It's just a pattern reducer, color enhancer. It has a super form called the Puzzleback, which is also a terrible name because there's the puzzle and jigsaw. I like to call it the Ridgeback. It works kind of a lot like Blade.
Yeah.
It works a lot like Blade.
Okay.
So I think with Spider and Inchy and just a bunch of things to reduce that pattern on and get calico in that with that white.
Oh, calico. So I love calico with bumblebees, man. It is one of my favorite things known to man, because you start getting things like this when you put your calico into there. I'm not going to give you this one. Okay.
Yeah.
That's just that snake with calico. And then the color it brings out, then the amount of white it brings out is just off the charts. So yeah, if you can put calico in there and then clean that up further, you'll have something really amazing. But I just wanted to clarify, so people can hear Spider Woma and think, oh my God, but your Jungle Woma's not Woma.
Right, yeah.
So you're not going to run the risk of the what I call the homozygous wobble.
Yeah.
Although most of our spiders, as you can see,
if I could rename that, I definitely would.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It's definitely one of the poor name ones.
Get in there, girly. Oh, give me my arm back. I want that arm. I need it. Come on. There we go. All right, Kurt, you want to add?
No.
Let's just check this guy, too. Let's see if we gave Caleb a super wobbler. Now, a few things on this snake is it does have a few of the dots. We typically work, it's a preference thing, but to remove that. But they are pretty limited. There's not a ton of them in there for a bee. I think the pastel brings out more of the spotting in the alien head. But you can also set this upside down. It already has its head right. So it is a pretty solid one. You're not going to get a lot of wobble issues out of it. Sometimes it is a little bit attituded, but there it is displaying the prototypical ball python. That's what you look for. Yeah. This is where the name comes from, guys. Ball python. Ball. All right, that's all I got, unless Kurt has something.
No.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. Keep an eye on your stuff. Fires suck. They happen to good people, and it doesn't care who you are. Fires are like COVID. They don't care. They're just... unless you're in California and then you got forest fires, they do care. They do care in California. They burn everything. They hate all of that stuff out there. All right, we're going to hop off here now. We probably pissed some people off, and we'll see you next time.